In today's Leeds news, Joseph exits story, Junior Firpo leaves Leeds, Bijol Bid Rejected, why Leeds might struggle to get top targets, and today's rumour mill stories on Douglas Luiz and Rodrigo Muniz. Morning folks, welcome back to The View for Friday morning, the 13th of June with your Leeds United news, the last video of the week. Massive thank you to everyone who has continued to watch the videos during what is a pretty quiet time for Leeds right now. I really appreciate it. This is the full-time job now, so I really appreciate the views and the support and everything else that helps us to keep this going. But we won't hang around today. There's a lot of stuff to get stuck into. And we'll start off with the Matteo Joseph story that came out yesterday. And a bit of a change in the circumstances relating to this one. And yesterday reports came out from Spain that Real Betis had made an offer for Leeds United striker Matteo Joseph. Graham Bailey went one step further with an exclusive yesterday where he claimed that Betis had made a €10 million bid for Matteo Joseph. And in fact, Leeds United had accepted the bid and the player had agreed personal terms as well. Today in Spain, Estadio Deportivo have poured cold water on this story and they've said the following about the move. This summer, social media gurus are once again legion, boasting scoops and exclusives usually inherited from others who are doing the work in the news. However, this new trend in the world is partly due to false competition and is jumping the gun, confirming coaches and players who at best are sitting at the negotiation table, much less signing documents or travelling in pursuit of recognition or presentations. Translated, what this means is people are making things up that haven't happened just yet. Stadio say that this is happening with the Matteo Joseph story, and they insist that the actual situation regarding Matteo Joseph, Betis and Leeds is the complete opposite, and they have gathered this information from their sources saying that they claim that there is a big gap between Real Betis' valuation of Matteo Joseph and Leeds United's valuation of Matteo Joseph. This transfer may go through at some point, but at this moment in time, Estadio Deportivo say that there is a huge disagreement between both clubs around the fee for Joseph, and there is nowhere near a deal being done for the player at this point. The Yorkshire Evening Post yesterday said that Leeds don't plan on selling Matteo Joseph unless a very large offer comes in for the player. A €10 million bid is exactly what Real Betis bid for Joseph back in January. There's no improvement on there except for the potential of a 20% sell-on clause, which isn't deemed enough or high enough for Leeds to move the player on. So as it stands right now, Graham Bailey has swung for the fences with an exclusive that might end up being a very big miss, or he'll have one hell of a home run on his hands, but we'll have to wait and see. But what it means is if this ends up being an unlikely move or it doesn't happen, then Graham Bailey's gone early with an exclusive that will damage the credibility, and we'll have to stick a caveat beside anytime we mention his name in future. And he's been pretty decent up until this point, it should be said, but this is one that is sitting in the middle right now, and we'll have to wait and see where it goes. But as of right now, reports in Spain say there is no bid agreed, there are no personal terms agreed, that the clubs are miles apart on valuation, and we'll see where it goes from there. But let's stay with Real Betis, the Real Betis news today, and this one relates to Junior Firpo, and the where is he going, where will he end up saga that is Junior Firpo's summer has come to an end last night after Fabrizio Romano confirmed that the fullback has agreed a 3-year contract at Real Betis. Firpo made 32 appearances last season for Leeds United and finished with a double-digit GNA and has finished his time at Leeds in a very, very positive way. Firpo left Betis back in 2019 to join Barcelona before then moving on to Leeds, and he now returns to his boyhood club to join former Leeds United players Marc Roca and Diego Llorente. And if Real Betis can find a valuation for Matteo Joseph, maybe they'll have a fourth ex-Leeds United player there at some point. At this stage, we'd like to wish Junior Firpo all the best next season as he returns home to play for Betis, and I wish him nothing but success at the club and thank him for everything he's done for Leeds over the past 2 years. The redemption arc of Junior Firpo is complete and he moves on from Leeds in a positive mindset, whereas 2 years ago that might have been very different. So fair play to Firpo for sticking with Leeds after the relegation and putting the performances in on the pitch that he did, and we wish him nothing but success moving forward in his career. Let's move on and talk about Bijol. Leeds United are named in Italy as now the front runners for the signature of the Udinese centre-half Bijol, but reports yesterday claim that Udinese have rejected Leeds' first bid of €17 million, with the club wanting closer to €20 million. So that's about 16 to 18 million pounds thereabouts. AC Milan and AS Roma are still credited as having serious interest in the centre-back, but sources close to the situation at Udinese say that they have confirmed that Leeds are the most likely club to get the signature of Bijol this summer. If they can agree to the valuation of the Italian club. Max Bober is expected to leave Leeds United this summer, so Leeds will need reinforcements in that position. They were looking for them anyway, but they'll now need additional ones there. The centre-half position is said to be a priority position for Leeds United this summer. Negotiations between both the clubs are said to be ongoing, with Leeds still keen to get a deal done, and this one could happen before that PSR deadline. We'll talk about that in a couple of seconds. But as it says in this article, Inter Milan are said to be keeping an eye on the situation right now. He's probably more suited to the Italian game than the English game, but there is a lot of positives around Bijol as well. There's obviously some concerns, but you're never going to get the complete 100% package in the position that Leeds are in coming into the league. So you've got to make some sacrifices somewhere, I suppose. But let's move on. And let's talk about why Leeds might be struggling to get the players they've been linked with this summer, and why so many players have been linked with Leeds. Graham Smith has a really good piece in the Yorkshire Evening Post today, looking at why Leeds might find it hard to get their prime targets done this summer. The first reason is the PSR deadline that comes on the June 30th, but Leeds can make moves before that deadline, as payments for those deals won't likely start going through until after the 1st of July anyway, so that's not really as big a deal this season as it's being made out. Also, to make it clear, because comments have been popping into the channel about this, Leeds United and club sources never said that Leeds won't be making any signings before the 1st of July. That was an opinion piece from Joe Donoghue and Graham Smith's opinion, and nothing more than that at that point, so that should just be clarified there. The second reason, and probably the most real and present one in this situation, is Leeds' ability to attract top tier targets to finish above 17th place in the league next season. And Graham Smith says that Leeds won't have an issue getting top championship level players, but they're not the calibre players Leeds need for next season in order to be clear of any relegation issues. Smith says that Leeds know that they can't hang around and will need to get their main players in early in order to give themselves the best start of a strong start to the season next year in the Premier League. Habib Diarra is one of these such players, labelled as too ambitious for Leeds, with his representatives saying that they expect him to move to a top European club who are playing in Europe next season. The key line in Graham Smith's piece is the following, and this is a really big factor and should probably level out our expectations on what will come into Leeds this summer, and it reads as follows. The YEP understands that certain players, via their agents, have simply said an outright no to the idea of playing for a newly promoted Premier League club, and Leeds have duly and swiftly moved on. This has to be taken into consideration when you look at the record over the last 2 years of all 6 teams that got promoted in the last 2 seasons, all got relegated again. And I know it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If these players all come to Leeds, then Leeds probably finish the season in a very positive position. But if none of them come, Leeds will likely struggle above that relegation zone or in that relegation dogfight next season. So by not coming, that happens. But if they do come, it probably doesn't. So it's a tough sell for players. We all know Leeds intimately. We all know the potential that we believe that this club has. But that doesn't necessarily enter into the thinking of players who are considering moving to Leeds United this summer. They don't know the history, they don't know about Leeds, and they don't know what Leeds can do next year. All they know is that the last 6 teams to get promoted all get relegated, and these players don't want to join clubs that will be in a relegation fight. This probably will also give an insight into the high volume of players that have been linked with Leeds United this summer, and why Leeds are, as Graham Smith says, moving swiftly on to other targets. And they could just be knocking through their shortlist of trying to find out who wants to come to Leeds, who's interested in Leeds and who isn't, and then move on to the other targets and see where they go from there. But it is a major factor, it is a major consideration, and it is a big problem for Leeds this summer to try and sell this project to potential players of a higher calibre that would see Leeds hopefully move in to a mid-table position in the next year or two. But let's move on to the rumour mill. There's a couple of interesting ones in this one that are worth talking about, but they are, as I always say, these are rumours, these are not fact, and there's no indication that Leeds have necessarily moved for these. But I'll give you the facts, and you can make your mind up on the situation. Let's start with Douglas Luiz, and yes, the former Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz, who joined Juventus last summer. According to Team Talk, they say that Douglas Luiz has been offered to Leeds United by Juventus, and the club have some interest in bringing him in. Luiz's fee is estimated to be in and around £30 million, and he was a major player for Aston Villa the season before last, before PSR meant they needed a large-scale sale to be compliant, and he moved to Juventus that summer. The Brazilian midfielder is still only 27 years of age, and he played 19 times last season for Juve, but not starting that many games. The season before that at Aston Villa in the Premier League, he started 35 times for Villa, scored 9 goals and added 5 assists. His game is far more suited to the Premier League than it is to the slower tempo of Italian football, and as a person who has banged on about tempo for 2 years on this channel, Personally, I think Douglas Luiz would be a very good player for Leeds midfield to keep that tempo high for Leeds next season. But it's a tough one to get done. We'll see what happens with that. But it is team talk, so you know the deal. Pinch of salt right there. Let's talk about Jordi Petrovic, and I know I have banged on enough about this man, but according to Joe Donoghue, he says that Ellen Road is not the goalkeeper's first choice, and in fact that Leeds haven't inquired about the keeper at this point. Chelsea have confirmed though that Jordi Petrovic is available for sale, but probably not a move heading towards Leeds United, so I'm going to stop talking about Jordi Petrovic. It's really interesting though, the reports that come out of the Yorkshire Evening Post this year have all been reports that say players that Leeds are not interested in and Leeds are not moving for. There hasn't been anything from the Yorkshire Evening Post to say who Leeds may be moving for or an exclusive around any players coming into Leeds. We've seen it from Barron Cross and the Athletic, but all we've seen from the Yorkshire Evening Post is Leeds are not doing this, Leeds are not doing this, and Leeds are not doing this. So it's a strange, interesting relationship that they've got with the club. But anyway, we'll move on and talk about Rodrigo Muniz, and according to the Athletic, Leeds are admirers of the current Fulham striker, who scored 11 goals last season for Marco Silva's side. But Give Me Sports say that should Leeds United decide to make a move for Muniz, a fee of close to £50 million would be needed, and Fulham are also keen to extend his contract. £50 million is way outside Leeds United's budget this summer and would make him the club's record signing by about £20 million as well. Off the table, I would say this one, we can probably put that one in the bin, add that to the list of ones that have been confirmed as not happening for Leeds United this summer. But Muniz, yeah, has got a future at Fulham. They do like him. They do see him as a future talent as well. 24 years of age, they see him as a future talent. Matteo Joseph's 21, and people at the club don't see him as a future talent. It's different people, different opinions. But yeah, that's the situation where we are today, folks. Massive thank you as always for supporting the channel. I'm back on Monday morning with the news. If anything happens over the weekend of any major interest, I will pop on. I'm not going to jump on and do stories for rumoured potential stuff. We'll leave them till Monday morning, but if there is anything more solid or confirmed, I'll hop on over the weekend and give you detail on that. Have a great weekend, enjoy yourselves, and I'll be back on Monday morning. And yet again, thank you for supporting the channel during this pretty lull period in Leeds United's transfer or summer plans. I appreciate all the support. Have a great weekend, talk to you soon. See ya, bye.